Expect the unexpected. When I asked the wonderful Shirley Battie, today's guest, what she'd like to talk about, she replied with, expect the unexpected. So I'm totally delighted and honoured to have Shirley on the show on New Earth Podcast today. Thank you so much for coming on, Shirley. And I'm just totally open-minded and a little bit curious and intrigued as to what's going to come up today.
Well, that's the unexpected, isn't it?
It's totally the unexpected.
I mean, we're living it, the unexpected. Seriously, we are in this world, this planet, we're living the unexpected. Because we really don't know what's going to be happening, except that years back, and I am going back to the early 90s now, so it's quite a long time ago, I was told what's going to happen on this planet. And of course, some of it has already happened, but some of it hasn't. But when it does, it will be unexpected to the majority of people.
So for anyone that doesn't know Shirley, Shirley's a channeler, a soul reader, and I think you've got many other gifts as well, Shirley, haven't you? You're an author of many books and an international speaker. So I'd love it if you're able to give us some insight into what you were told and when you were told this.
Well, what's going to happen on the planet will be totally unexpected, except psychics perhaps pick it up in advance. Nobody will see it coming. I'm not going to tell you what it is because although I've been given quite graphic pictures of what it is, there is nothing you can do about it. It will affect the entire planet. Obviously, we'll continue because the human race always continues. But it is going to reshuffle everybody's thinking. And that we're talking about politicians, governments, anything at all that we consider to be running the place, all be thrown in a heap. Whether that's going to happen in my lifetime or after, I do not know, because they will not give me a time frame.
Yes, well, it's kind of, spirit is out of time, really, isn't it? So it's a lot of people listening to you, Shirley, might be going into a little bit of fear, you know, like what's going to happen, is this anything to be feared by people?
No, I tell people never be fearful, because as souls, you're going to continue. There is no end for anybody. There's continuation in whatever form, you know, as human beings, there's continuation. The only thing people need to be concerned, or not concerned, considering is the right word, is how they live their lives, how they are as souls. Because each soul is the only important thing, really. I mean, we've incarnated several times, some more than others. And we've come back as different, you know, different races, sometimes all kinds. The soul will continue. So whatever happens, well, the reason I'm saying this, whatever happens on the planet, the soul will continue. And it will continue on the planet Earth or elsewhere if it wants to, it chooses. So there's nothing to fear. The only thing that can damage you is your own self, the way you conduct yourself. So really, there's nothing to fear. All you have to think about is, how am I conducting myself in this life? That's all. That's it. The rest of it works itself out.
This is called New Earth Podcast. Oh,
Yeah.
you. This is called New Earth Podcast, and you know that we're talking about this shift of moving into the new earth, and I always talk about the shift that we really have to make is that inner shift. That's what's going to shift the world. Is that something that you relate to with what you've seen and what you're feeling?
Well, yeah, it depends what people consider to be the shift. You know, is it how you feel each day, how you view others? For me, a shift is how I view other souls as I intermingle and go about my daily life. I look at them differently now to how I looked at them, say, 10 years, 15 years ago.
So how do you look at souls now, Shirley?
Well, I don't look at the individuals, and there's many individuals, for what they are in this life. Nice, good, indifferent, caring, uncaring, it doesn't matter. I see them as souls. If you can imagine a soul without the covering and the coats they put on, you look at them totally differently. And I'll explain this. I'm sure I haven't got a cold, but I've got all this cough and what have you. When I was at work, and I'm going back a long time ago now, paid employment, put it that way, it was a pretty tough job, and people were panicking. They'd been asked to do the impossible, and everybody was cross and irritable as a result of this. And I had a brief illness. When I went back, I learned something in that illness. And when I went back to work, same conditions, same panic-driven expectations from all around. But I looked at the souls that were around me differently. I looked at them as souls doing their journey, managing the best they could with what they've been given. And because my approach, when I looked at them, was different, immediately there was a different reaction back to me.
Yes.
Amazing. It was a complete change. And from then on, everything was same conditions, but you felt differently. There was a shift. There was a change. So is this the shift? Seeing
That's really interesting. So you feel the shift might be in our way of seeing the kind of internal.
Well, that's how it happened with me.
Yes.
I mean, all right, the other shift is for people being more psychic and more, because I was told that people will naturally be more psychic, more intuitive, more telepathic, and all those things which we are all aiming to be now.
I can certainly see it in all the children coming in. They're a lot more awake and aware than, our, like my generation, for example.
And that's already happening.
It's already happening, and you support this in people, don't you, Shirley? That's something you've worked with, helping people to open up their psychic abilities and journey.
I run workshops, or I did run workshops on psychic development and things like that. But I still hold groups now. Every week I have hold a group. So, I'm not stepping outside. It's just encouraging others to advance in different ways.
Do you have any tips for anyone listening in that might be wanting to develop their psychic ability, Shirley?
Well, it depends how much they've got in them to begin with. If they're right at the very base, the very beginnings, a good kick-off point would be a spiritualist church circle, because they give you the ground rules, the safety nets. It's a basic training, all right? And from there, of course, you can go to other groups, because other groups will develop. I just ask Spirit, introduce me to the right group of people. And you will be introduced, and people will come forward, and you'll join. It'll be Spirit-led, because you've asked Spirit to help you with this. So all you have to do is ask Spirit, basically.
So that's the main key to developing the psychic ability, is to be guided by Spirit and almost like hand yourself over. So I know when we spoke, you talked about knowing when to listen to messages from Spirit and when to ignore them. Is that something?
Well, I'll give you an example. I was in Australia, and because the title of this is Expect the Unexpected. And I was in Australia in the outback somewhere, and suddenly leapt out in front of me was what is known as a bunyip. Now, the bunyip is a bit like, what should we say? It's a mythical creature, really, but it's quite large. And it leapt out in front of me and it said, come with me, come with me. And this is the unexpected part, because I didn't expect that. And I wasn't meditating or in what I felt was the correct frame of mind, because he was in another dimension. And he was inviting me into another dimension. Because I wasn't prepared, I said, no, I'm not coming.
Okay.
I didn't. And I often wonder what would have happened if I had gone with him.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean? So when do you accept and when do you use your judgment? I don't know. You have to deal with it instance by instance, by whatever happens.
Yes. Yeah. I guess there's a feeling and a sense and a discernment that maybe happens.
Yeah.
The gut feeling.
You've got to go with your intuition, your gut feeling, because not all spirits are wonderful, you know. I mean, they've got both kinds on the other side.
So do you work with protection or anything like that, or do you just set the intention that you're always kind of divinely protected?
Well, there's two sides to this. If you're of a certain vibration because of the way you behave and the way you are, your vibration is higher. It's at a certain level. Now, if you're at that high level, nothing darker can enter. It cannot come in. Because if it tried, it would burn itself. It's like putting a light fuse wire into a strong current. It can't do it.
Yes.
Because your vibration is too powerful. So you're perfectly safe on that account. But if you've got some lower stuff going on in you, that's a bit of an entry point. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's keep your own actions good and vibrations high, and nothing can hurt you. Actually, nothing can hurt you.
I mean, that's very much the message for New Earth is raise your vibration, and that's how the New Earth will arise through you. So
now I run groups every week, and although I know the people who are coming, and it's all right, you never know what stuff they're bringing with you. So before the time of their arrival, you know, around that time, before people turn up, I always do what you might call protection. I don't think of it as protection because I don't feel there's anything to be protected from.
yes.
But I do a preparation of my home, including the surrounding area of the home, to make sure no negative stuff comes in with these people. Do you see what I mean?
Yes.
So it's not like there's nasties out there. I don't want it, but I don't want lower energies
Yes.
coming in with them. And it can happen.
Yes.
People can bring their own heavy energies in, or whatever's attached to them in. You don't want it.
No, definitely. And have you had any unexpected things happen in your groups?
Yeah, we have. We have had a spirit jump into somebody else. Now, I know about that because I've gone to circles for years now. But the person it happened to, that was unexpected because this spirit jumped right into her, you know. And wow, but because I've experienced it already in my learning, I knew how to handle it.
Yes.
But that's unexpected. You don't know that's going to happen in advance. And it wasn't negative, it was just some spirit found somebody it could, you know, join in with energetically. Yeah. If you're running a circle or you're going to a circle and you're not experienced, or some people are not experienced, that's when you can expect the unexpected. Because you need somebody there who's going to monitor the situation. I mean, you might get somebody who needs soul rescue.
Can you explain what that is for the people that don't know?
Well, when people die, the majority goes straight over and they're met on the other side. But then you'll get the odd one or two who don't make it all the way. So they're stuck for a whole variety of reasons. So they may not even know they're dead. And they're wandering around trying to get attention from, you know, saying, I'm here. But they're actually dead, so nobody can see them.
Yes.
So if that happens, and we have a circle and we open up, this one's found an entry point. They say, oh, I could talk to them. So because the person that's running the group should know how to deal with that, they know what we call as a soul rescue. So they talk to that spirit and explain to it what's going on. It's a bit of a counselling job. And this could be a child as well. It doesn't have to be an adult. Or their passing has been too quick. They haven't been prepared to go. So they don't
Yes.
know if they're here or there. So the job of the person running the group is to talk to them, counsel them, explain to them, and get them to pass all the way over. It's simple, really. And that's what I call soul rescue. I had a Knight Templar once come through. I mean, he'd been around for hundreds of years. Wait, I don't know what time-wise, I don't know, but I knew he was a Knights Templar. And he was stuck. He hadn't gone all the way because he was looking for somebody he wanted vengeance on.
Gosh, so he'd been hanging around for a wee while.
Hanging around. And of course, the minute we realised what was going on, I talked to him and explained that he isn't going to find this person here because they've already passed on. The only way he could find them was to pass over all the way himself. So we counselled him over, basically. So you never know.
I have to say, I find your story of how you connected with Magenta Pixie quite amazing. Was that your first channeling experience when you kind of worked with her and connected with her?
No, I've been working before. It was my first time with Magenta.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that.
Yeah.
I had a look at that on your website, and she said for her it was what started her channeling, that working with you in a group. So
it was a group thing, and Magenta was there, and I was paired with Magenta, and it was a healing workshop actually. And what I did was a healing on her, and drew something out of her. I can't remember the fine details. You have to ask her. But anyway, it changed. She says it changed things for her. For the benefit, I have to say, for the benefit. And neither of us have ever forgotten.
and she started channeling, I think she mentioned a few weeks after that. So do you find that, Shirley, that you often, when people come into contact with you, just by being in your energy field, it can often, if people are ready, open up that ability within them?
Yeah, that does happen. And that is because, well, I don't know what age I am soul-wise, but like I've been there, done that, seem to know what to do at the right time.
Amazing. So is there anything that's coming through for you today that you feel is really important to share at this time?
The only thing that's ever really important is how you conduct yourself in your life. That is the importance. Everything else fades into insignificance. And see other people as souls on their journeys. They're not nasty, horrible. Maybe they are being nasty and horrible. But when you meet one like that, view them as if they're souls having a difficult time of it.
Yes.
And that's where
people can only do that. I think people try to do their best, don't they?
Yes.
And they can only, with the skills that they have,
That's right,
and the conditioning they have, that's the best they can do, sort of thing.
yes.
That's the best we can all do, really, is
so if you're psychic, you can tap in and help them that way, with advices coming through from spirit. Or if you're not very psychic, just see them as souls and say that, ask for help for them, basically. I do a lot of asking spirit for this, that, or the other.
What sort of things do you ask for help with?
Well, we're not all wise. Sometimes what they're going through is what they have to have, is part of what they are supposed to have. So we're not meant to clear it out. So I ask that whatever situation, their situation be resolved to everybody's satisfaction. That covers, are they meant to go through this? Or is there help? So I ask for help to everybody's satisfaction, to everybody's benefit. Everybody.
I love that because it's an interesting one. I work with healing, and we never know our role. You know, sometimes it is that we're going to facilitate that person to heal themselves, and then other times it's more that we're actually, you know, meant to support someone to end their life well, and we never know what our role is in that way.
No, people send me healing because I've got so much going on with me, and there's a part of me says, don't overdo it because I want to go, you know. Don't keep me here when I want to go. I'm done, you know.
Do you want to share anything about what's going on for you at the moment, Shirley?
Well, I've got the cancers, but I've got cancer. Most cancers where I've got it would bump me off. I can't understand why I'm still here. I've got it in the breast, in the lungs, in the ribs, and 2 in the spine. Now, all of that should have finished me, shouldn't it? Really?
And you're in your 80s, are you?
Yeah, I'm 90 this year.
Incredible, Shirley.
So why are they keeping me here?
Do you feel there's something you still have left to do, or have you had any guidance around that?
Well, I'm writing a book very slowly, I have to say. I can't really think of anything else I have to do. So perhaps some psychic out there will tell me what it is I'm supposed to be doing. I don't know. Maybe it's simply talking.
Do you feel that it's actually helping people? You know, because I understand that the way that you've embraced this transition, you've known for a couple of years, haven't you, about the cancer? And I understand the way that you've embraced that, Trish, has been very inspiring for people, because you've shown no fear and you've just accepted. And so do you feel that's something?
That may be that may be the message that's meant to get over, because I do not fear death. I mean, it's lovely on the other side. Why don't they let me go? You know, there's nothing to fear about death whatsoever. Even if in life, and I'll give you a story in a minute, even if in life you've been the worst person possible, all right, when you get on the other side, you are not condemned for that. We do our own judging. The example I was going to tell you is, and I have said this before on the internet, there was a place, a parsonage, where the parson had died, but he was still hanging around. He was clumping around, and nobody would stay the night because, you know, this ghost was everywhere. So I was asked to go and see if I could deal with him. So I tracked him down, and it turned out that all his preaching and all his life, he preached and believed that if you didn't behave yourself on this life, you were going to hellfire and damnation for your actions. And that's what he preached. That, you know, if you're not a good boy, you're going to get hell. And that was why he was clumping around, because that was his belief. His belief kept him, he was afraid to go.
Isn't that interesting?
Sad too. So maybe I'm telling you so that somebody else is worried about going in case they're met with their deeds in that way. But
There's nothing that can bring up fear more than that kind of existential fear for some people, you know, if it's not something that you've done any work around. And I think these times, because there's been so much letting go, you know, of the world that we knew, it is triggering that a little bit in people. So survival kind of fear.
Yeah. Well, I think we've naturally inbuilt into us the survival instinct.
Yes.
I mean, if I had a bus driving forward to me, I would jump out of the way. That's survival instinct, you know.
Absolutely.
We've all got that survival instinct, whatever we believe. That's part of being a human being, the survival. But the other stuff, you know, like me, I'm going to die. I mean, we're all going to die. But that fear shouldn't stop us from going, because it's actually lovely on the other side.
And it's interesting, isn't it? This podcast is called Expect the Unexpected. It's the only thing we can expect, for sure, in a way, isn't it? That we're all going to die.
Nobody will tell you when you're going. Which is damned annoying, because I can make preparations. I mean,
Oh,
I've
Shirley, this is incredible. I'd love if you can just share a little bit about our current times, because it's just such an incredible time that we're living through at the moment.
well, it depends who you are. It's incredible if you believe in what we believe in, but it's really awful for others, like those who are starving in certain countries, and those who are really having a bad time of it with their own families, perhaps. Life isn't happy for them, and they would rather not have it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's all a question of where you stand. You see, I used to say to people, and I still believe it, you could drop me in the middle of the desert with no water and no food and leave me there, and I'd be perfectly all right.
Okay.
And I believe that.
Is that your faith, do you feel? That's how deep your faith is?
Yes, because the only thing that can be damaged is my soul. Because even if I died there in that desert, I'd still be all right. Because the soul is the only thing that's important. Really, that's the only thing that's important. And I hold on to that. And of course, they tested me, didn't they? Of
They didn't
what I
drop you
said.
in the desert with no water, I hope.
No, they didn't do it quite like that. This was in India. They put me into a situation in the middle of a plantation. I didn't even know what part of India. It was a long story, but I was in this India place. I didn't even know which end of India I was in. It's too long a story to go into all the details. And it was nighttime. And I didn't know which direction to go. I hadn't got a clue. But I wasn't worried. I wasn't, afraid at all. I sent a message up to Spirit. I said, bring somebody to show me the way. I asked Spirit, I said, come on, Spirit, help me. At the same moment, two boys came running up to me and they said, Missy, bungalow this way. And they led me to the bungalow that I was going to be staying in. I mean, amazing. But it was a test. Am I walking my talk? And I wasn't worried, you see. I was cross. I was irritated with my host for having left me in that position.
Goodness.
So that's really all it is. I am not afraid of anything. I can get cross, I can get irritated with things going around, but I'm never afraid. No.
That's a really powerful message, Shirley. Thank you so much. Is there anything else that you'd like to share today before we finish up?
I think if you can trust a little more with your own spirit guides, and don't forget to ask them to help. I don't know what's ahead. That's why it's called Expect the Unexpected. I don't know. I didn't know I was going to get cancer. I had no idea. That was the unexpected. It's the last thing on my mind when I was told. Absolutely. But, it sounds crackers. I was actually relieved that I knew why I had this lump on my leg. I was relieved. I knew now what it was. And I knew, there was some way of working with it. But it was unexpected. So sometimes the unexpected is what you need to jolt you into thinking a different way. I don't know.
Do you feel it helps us with our soul lessons, that things happen for a reason, these kind of experiences?
Well, I've got, I won't say two, I've got one member of my family, more absent family now, it used to be close, who could pass on. It could be passed on any day, is in that state. That was unexpected that would happen. And I think I have to be careful what I say on here in case they get to hear about it, you see. But there will be unexpected issues, shall we say, that pop up that are personal. I mean, most of us can deal with the general stuff, like, there's a meteor going to crash, well, whatever, that's general. But when it's closer to home, affecting your livelihood and your life, then that's what hurts. That's what gets you. That's the whole part.
Particularly if it's very sudden, my experience.
Yeah. So I hope and pray I don't get any of those, because when they are like that, they're nearly always health related, aren't they? I don't say
loss, like a sudden loss as well. That's been my experience. You know, that's kind of that really shifted my consciousness, shifted my awareness, connecting with the divine through that. You know, sudden passing.
Your shift with the consciousness and the divine is what changes you, because you view things in a different way. You can meet things differently.
And then it's always with you, isn't it? That once you've found that connection,
you're not alone.
That's it. You never feel alone. It can deepen though. I feel like I'm still on a journey of deepening, like speaking to you. I haven't mastered, you know, that level of, you know, no fear that you have. So I've certainly got more work to do.
Well, one thing to remember, Sarah, is you're a soul living as Sarah this time. You've no doubt been a soul living as somebody else other times, all kinds. And no doubt you'll go on living as other souls and other beings further. This life that you're living now is just one little tiny speck in your soul's journey. There is nothing to fear.
It's interesting though, because you're saying that, and I know that, but I haven't integrated it to the degree that if something happened to one of my family members, or suddenly, you know, I don't think I'd be able to have your level of, you know, dropped in the desert with no water and I'm okay kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be hard when it's personal, like family members. And you'll have to deal with it. But at the background, you know, it's all okay, and it's only part.
Okay, yes.
Only part of your soul's journey. And there'll be other times, you know, and you'll meet up again and take that distant view, and it makes it a lot easier. I mean, obviously, if you've got family, you love them, and it'd be awful if they went, but maintain that distant view as well. Yeah. We'll see them on the other side later on, you know, this is just role play. What you're in now, you and I and everybody else alive, are in role play. We're playing a role in this particular life.
To view it like that, and almost like a game, because then it brings in the joy, doesn't it? If we can see it like we're playing, you know, then we can enjoy it. We can just enjoy the roles we have to play, really, and we might as well choose them well.
Working out what your life's going to be with your other members of your soul group. You say, no, I think this time I'll be the mother. No, you were mother last time. I think I'm going to be the son. And take it on as this is another role that you're acting in for this particular period of your soul's journey. And it makes it so much easier if you keep reminding yourself of that, you know. Oh, you said you were going to be the one that popped off early, don't you remember? You know.
Oh, I love it, Shirley.
Well, it puts a different approach and attitude towards it. So when it's difficult, remind yourself, this is only a role I'm playing. That's all. Passes. Everything passes.
Remember that and take a step back and look as the observer, bird's eye view.
And you'll find that
help people a lot during these times.
You can deal with it a lot better. I mean, I still don't know why I'm still here. I really and truly shouldn't be here with all that I've got going on. So what role is that meant to be, you know?
I think you're here to inspire. That's my feeling, because it's certainly, you know, incredibly inspiring hearing your story and your journey.
It makes it easier having that, you know. And we're still going to deal with having to pay the bills and visits to the doctors and what have you. But that's only just part of the whole tapestry, really. If it doesn't get you down in the dumps, you know, and miserable and wanting to quit and all the, then you're all right. You're still sailing through it. just playing your part, basically. Yeah, and that includes family. Of course, I mean, I love my family, of course I do. But I love everybody, you know.
Yes.
And that's the other thing. Try to love everybody. Try not to see the bad parts, because they're all struggling. Everybody is struggling to be the best they can.
Yes.
Even the horrible ones, you know, they're still souls doing it all wrong. You've got to feel compassion for them when they do it all wrong. You think, oh my God, look what they're doing now.
And see people as they're meant to be in their fullness. That in itself can be very healing for people, seeing the light in them rather than the bits that are perhaps not so light.
Yeah. Have you heard of Edgar Casey?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, Andy Humby actually quoted him in our podcast, saying that he had predicted that in 2026 the kind of energy field and library and knowledge under the Sphinx would be opened.
oh, that would be great.
Yes.
That would be good. I like Edgar Casey, and a lot of his predictions have come true. So, you know, I take notes of what he says, quite honestly. Yeah.
Well, that would be incredible if that all opens up.
But
That
you
will
see,
shift things.
as a prophet, as a seer, which he was, I mean, he was remarkable. But one of his previous lives, he was awful. He was a blackguard. He was a gambler. He was not nice. So he's lived lives that weren't nice. What I'm saying is, and yet he's a great soul.
Well, we all have at times, sometimes or other, and that's why, you know, when we do the past life regression, it's important to be compassionate, isn't it? If we find those aspects of ourselves as well.
Yeah, because we don't know what awful lives we've lived.
Yes. Yeah.
I know somebody told me, I haven't had the regression for this one, but ages ago, a medium who I really trust, she said, oh, you should see yourself in your past life, one of your past lives. She said, I'd be frightened of you, she said. If you said cut off her head, they would do it.
Oh
She
my
said,
goodness.
you know, so I've lived those lives of being awful as well.
Oh, and you're very much a seer as well. Do you have anything to share about, you know, everybody wants to know what's going to happen, and I know you've been given no time frames and there's not too much that you can share, but are there any little pointers for people?
Well, you see, the thing is, if I do, and I've got it clearly in my head and what I've seen, I don't want to create fear.
Yes.
You see, once I put the thought in people's head, they'll be on the lookout. Is this going to happen soon? When is it going to happen? Do you know what I mean? I have been given a load of stuff that's going to happen. But I don't think it'd be of any use to tell
Okay.
you. Now, the only other thing, which is of a minor thing, really, less dramatic, shall we say, in my books, I have written all my predictions.
Okay.
So if you want to see the predictions, then you'd have to buy my book.
Absolutely.
I've put them in all of my books. They're all there. And these are earthly predictions. Some have happened. Some which I was given in the early 90s about mass migration of peoples, which is what's been happening. And I'm talking about 1991. They told me what was going to be happening now. Mass migration. Well, I mean, what's happening in England? They're all coming over here, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah.
And other things like that, you know. So the predictions have been there, but I think Spirit would be very careful not to cause panic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it's a good reason to go out and buy Shirley's books, and you've
they're
got
all on
you,
Amazon.
haven't you? So, are there any in particular that would help people if they were interested in predictions?
Well, they're in all my books, but if they haven't read any of my books, I'd say start with Love Being a Human, because they're all in there as well. But that's a starter, you know, about my journey, basically. Love Being a Human. That was deliberate, that title, Being a Human. because I go into being other beings as well. You know, we're all interacting as human beings here in this lifetime, but it doesn't mean we've always been human.
No, we've come Galactic Origins, and I think people at this time are really reconnecting with those Galactic Origins as well.
I'm very strongly connected with what you call the Galactics. Yeah.
Yes.
I call them extra celestials.
Oh, I love it.
Instead of extraterrestrials.
I love it.
Because I do go into in my talks so much, because I don't do so many talks now, because everything's online now. I like talking to the public direct. I enjoy that. But about other beings, and our connection with star people, it's very strong with me, because I speak several different languages.
The light language, some people will know that as
Some
well.
people call them light language. I call them star language, because they are different star people's language. Yeah.
Are there any that you're particularly connected with?
Well, Sirius mainly.
I'm very connected with Sirius. That's interesting.
Sirius,
Yes.
the bird tribe. Yeah. One of my guides who came right at the beginning, I called him Birdman, because that's what he looked like, a Birdman. And he's from Sirius. Ossishu is his name. So yeah, I'm very connected with the extra celestials. Not obviously.
Very loving energy, isn't it, as well? Very supportive.
And they're just beautiful all round, I think it's only the human race really that seems to be intent on killing each other.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that's all going to be shifting, with our current shift, that will be something that we will be moving into love and higher, more virtuous expression.
Well, that would be nice. That would be good. Yeah. Well, I'll watch it from the other side.
Well, I've got a feeling you might still be here. You're just going to keep going by the looks of things.
Think about it. I'm 90 this year. I ain't going to go on forever, I shouldn't be here now, actually. So I don't know what spirit have got in their heads, why they want me still to be here.
Well, if you ever figure it out, then do let me know, and I'll make a short videos to to let the viewers know as well.
When you said earlier on that I thought I was going a couple of years ago. Well, actually, it wasn't me that thought I was going a couple of years ago. It was everybody else, and they've assumed with what I've got that I can't possibly carry on,
So you're defying the expected. So
yeah.
And that's the thing, though, isn't it? Do you feel it's like what we believe? If you believed you weren't going, you haven't allowed that diagnosis to be a death sentence, as many people would.
No, actually, I was quite relieved that
Yeah.
I was going to have. They said they can't do anything. That was the first thing. They said there is nothing we can do. And I was relieved, because I thought, I didn't want to go through chemotherapy. I didn't want to go through radiography.
Yes.
I didn't want to go through all the painful stuff. I thought, thank God for that. And they said, do you want quality of life or quantity of life? These were the consultants. They said, we can do it either way, quality or quantity. I said quality, because quantity meant treatments and all the other stuff that it's not pleasant to have. But I believe we only go when we're meant to go anyway.
Yes, I believe that.
So whatever they did for me wasn't going to make the slightest bit of difference to when I was going to go.
You've got amazing faith. It's totally inspiring to talk with you, Shirley. Absolutely inspiring.
Well, I hope everybody feels better for it, actually. Trust your spirits, you know, trust. I mean, the unexpected, and this was the title of the thing. I go to certain places. I was in Seattle, doing work in Seattle in America, and I meditated. And Spirit said, "We want you to go to Brazil." I said, "Oh, okay, when I've learned Portuguese." They said, "No, we want you to go now." Oh, now. I said, "Yes, now. It's important you go now." That was unexpected. Do you see what I mean? But
did you get any insight into why they wanted you to go to Brazil?
no, they just told me what airport I had to go to. Because obviously Brazil is large, actually, it's very large.
And have you since had any insight?
Oh, I went.
Yes.
I did go, and it was important that I went then and there.
Yes.
Yes, I have written about it, actually. And I'm
We're
writing.
just going to have to read your book, Shirley, by the sounds of it, because we're not going to get through it all in one podcast.
I was guided to this place, you know, and I mean literally guided. I was given the name of this village and the airport. So I went to the airport and I asked where this village was, and nobody knew where it was. I mean, fancy an airport, and they didn't know where a village was. So I booked into a hotel because it's a long flight from America. I needed to stay overnight. And I asked at the hotel, they didn't know where this place was. So somebody there who spoke English, because I didn't speak Portuguese.
Yes.
They said, "Why don't you go to, I got a dictionary, you know, bought a dictionary at the airport. They said, "Why don't you go to the bus station and ask them? They will know where this place is."
Okay.
So I went to the bus station by taxi and asked, well, I looked at all the kiosks for the various destinations, you know, and I found it, the name of it, and I got the bus to this place. I hadn't got a clue why I was going there or what for or anything. But this is what I'm trying to get over. If people are doing what they say they're doing, say trusting spirit and acting on spirit, it will not let you down. But you have to have the trust.
I've actually had a similar experience like that. I've just remembered it, you talking, Shirley. I went to a big conference in London and I happened to notice in the next room Vortex healing. And I thought, oh, that looks interesting. I must find out about that. I got home. I was like relaxing in the bath. I'd only been home for a short while and I heard, "Go to Glastonbury." We lived about half an hour from Glastonbury. So I'm like, "It's getting dark. Go to Glastonbury now." So I like tell my partner I'm going to Glastonbury. I've got family. He thinks I'm completely nuts if he knows, so it's okay. But probably thinking it's getting dark. And I'm driving around all these streets in Glastonbury thinking, where am I going? I've taken an overnight bag. And I was told, "Park here." So I walked down this little alleyway and I come out in this kind of Glastonbury building with wings on the side, these great big wings. And I knew that was where I was meant to go. And I go in and the lady that met me, I told her what had happened and she said, "Merlin sent you." And no, I didn't tell her what had happened. I said to come to Glastonbury. And she said, "Merlin sent you." And then we got talking and she was one of the top Vortex healers in the country.
Oh, wonderful.
I mean, that was just extraordinary. So, and there was something that she actually worked with angels, and there was something that I needed to have happen coming off that course for it to be fully integrated. So I actually needed a night there before going back to my family. So Spirit just arranged the accommodation for me.
And it works out.
Isn't it interesting?
Does. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If you listen, these kind of things do happen, don't they?
They do. Yeah. If you listen and trust. I mean, what can hurt you? Really? What can hurt you? It's only you can hurt yourself by doing the wrong thing. You know, that's it, basically.
Thank you so much, Shirley. It's been an absolute pleasure to chat with you today. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I do hope that you've got a lot out of New Earth podcast today. Do hit the subscribe button so you can receive more New Earth podcasts. Many blessings, and thank you again.
Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you.